to the 2022 Mercedes-AMG GLB 35. This is our first Mercedes in Canada and it's definitely an interesting car. Let's see how this car is. The front end of the car, as you can see, has the AMG kit. It's very aggressive and I think it looks really good. One thing you'll also notice is that the windscreen is pretty upright, as this is a tall car. It has slightly different proportions, if I can say, in a diplomatic way. The grille is very nice. So this something used to be an option on other AMGs, the Pan America grille. It's very similar to that and it's standard on this car and I think it looks really good. It's the identity of AMG cars. The headlight, again, it's very rectangular. The DRLs built in look really good and it's got a nice little subtle aggressive bumper design which has a slight like a diffuser look in the bottom as well, which is all gloss black. Again, it looks good and especially in this paint shade, it stands on the road and I've gotten a few more thumbs up than I expected. When you come to the side of the car, you'll notice an uncanny resemblance to the GLS, the eldest brother of this SUV. The C-pillar looks very much similar and the whole boxy silhouette resembles quite a lot to the GLS, which is not a bad thing, but it's smaller by 60% perhaps. The side profile again has the boxy look. It stands out. It's very different compared to other cars because very less cars have this boxy appeal and it just looks good. Since this is the AMG, this has the 21-inch rims. These are optional. The standards are 20-inch. These are optional 21-inch, which look really good, and you've got a bit of cladding on the side to give it that crossover credential. Again, boxy theme which stands out on the road, complemented by these 21-inch alloys. I think it's a very smart looking car and it definitely stands out on the road. The rear of the GLB, as you can see, you can see the boxy shape. It's completely flat rear. In fact, it resembles a lot to the GLC, especially the tail lights, but it still retains the GLS-esque, the rear appeal, which is carried from the C-pillar. Since this is the AMG, it's got an aggressive bumper design, so it's got some cladding, but also a very sporty diffuser on the bottom. It's got twin pipes, and luckily they both are functional because AMGs are notoriously to have 4 exhaust pipes, but only 2 are functional. This has only 2 pipes and they both are functional, which is really nice, and they sound pretty good as well. This has the optional chrome support on the tailgate, so that you don't scratch your bumper when you're putting up stuff into the boot. Again, otherwise it's a unique looking rear end. Some might like it, some may not. I'm one of those where I think I'm liking it because it's so unique and it stands out on the road. Now I'm inside the GLB and as you can see, the interior resembles to its younger junior models like the GLA and the A-Class. So these 3 center vents which have fabulous color, to be very honest, and the ambient lighting inside is crazy. You can set it to any color you want. The color palette is so big. These center vents look really good. The aluminum finish, which is a general theme in the interior. So you've got aluminum on the vents, you've got aluminum here, you've got aluminum the door grab as well. You've got aluminum the steering wheel, which looks really, really good. You've got a bit of faux carbon fiber on the center, on the dashboard, on the doors, and that's about it, but it looks really good. Otherwise you can find lots of leather. So the center armrest is leather. You've got a bit of leather on the steering wheel, you've got leather on the dashboard, and you've got a lot of Alcantara as well. So Alcantara on the sides of the steering wheel and on the seats, in the center of the seats as well, which, let's be honest, it's an AMG, so it lends that sporty appeal. Overall, this is completely empty because, as you know, Mercedes-Benzes have the gear lever on the side here, which can take a little getting used to. It almost like a Viper stock in other cars, so it takes some getting used to. The center console has got 2 cup holders and a space to keep your phone. This is not covered, which is really weird. I mean, they could have like a sliding cover to close it because not every time you want this open space. You've got the AC controls here, which is all buttons, which is really nice, and they have a very nice tactile finish button to it, which I think it really suits the premium luxury appeal of this car. You've got one screen that has the MBUX and the speedometer, and you can customize the speedometer in a variety of ways, and the MBUX, so it's touch, and you can control from the steering wheel control as well, and you can control it from the touchpad here. So 3 ways you can control the screen. It's got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and overall it's a nice feature. The steering wheel, this is the optional sports steering wheel, so it's the 3-spoke. You've got aluminium, you've got nice aluminium paddle shifters, you've got all the controls, you've got the knobs on the steering wheel to change it from comfort, sport, the drive modes, and manually you can adjust the suspension, the exhaust and everything. You can see I'm wearing gloves because since this is a sports steering wheel, you have to sacrifice heated steering. So this does not have heated steering wheels, so during winters you might need the gloves to hold the steering, especially when on a cold day when you're starting off in the morning. Otherwise it's a really nice place to be, and it's really roomy. So because of the boxy, you know, shape, you've got a lot of headroom, and space isn't bad as well. The seats are really nice. They've got nice support. You can adjust in a lot of ways. You've got really nice you know, lumbar, so you're not tossed around when you're cornering, and you've got adjustable, manually adjustable under thigh support, which is again a very nice to be. Overall this feels very much Mercedes, and it's not a bad thing because at the price this is available, it better feel luxurious, and it sure does. Now I'm the rear seat of the GLB. As you can see, space is not an issue. This driving seat is actually behind than what I usually sit. This seat is where I usually sit, and you can see legroom is not an issue. I'm 5'8". I have a lot of knee room, a lot of feet room because I'm wearing boots, and I can put it inside the seat really well. Headroom, not an issue as well. Windows are really big, so you have lots of sun, and you also have a panoramic glass, which is actually the blinds open the rear as well, so that lends in a lot of light as well. The seat under thigh support is a little on the lower side, but backrest is adjustable, so that's really nice. Again, overall it's not that bad. The transmission hump isn't that intrusive as well, so a third passenger is very much welcome. You do have AC vents in the back and one Type-C port to charge your phone. You have seat back pockets, so you can store some stuff, and the armrest comes down as well, and you have, if you press open, the cup holders also come out, so you can load some stuff. The main theme in here is mostly leather, Alcantara and aluminium. So you've got the Alcantara on the seat and on the sides, you've got leather elsewhere, and you've got this aluminium grab rails which look really premium. So yeah, it's a nice place to be, and definitely the rear passengers would not complain of space. The GLB however also has a third row as optional, but I really wouldn't recommend that because I'm sure with the third row up, looking at the boot space, I wouldn't recommend, honestly. Probably the legroom would be really bad. Perhaps for kids, it's better to get this 5-seater option which this car has and maximize it as a spacious 5-seater and a big boot. I'm behind the wheel of the GLB AMG. Let's get the numbers out of the way. This has a 2-liter turbocharged engine that produces 300 horsepower, which helps this car go from 0 to 100 in under 5 seconds because this has the 4MATIC. You can do the launch control, brake, boost, throttle, race start. Oh wow, this pulls hard. This pulls hard, and you're way into the above the speed limit. It's fast. This thing launches like a rocket. The 300 horsepower, the 4MATIC works really well. Wow. The ride is stiff because I have it in the Sports Plus setting for the launch control, but if you move this knob, you can put it to comfort, it dials down, becomes not quite comfortable because I feel like the suspension even in comfort is pretty stiff. Put it to Sport Plus and it's way too stiff for daily driving, especially, you know, Toronto roads aren't the best, but because I'm on a twisty section, I'll put it to Sport Plus. The steering weighs up considerably, becomes very fun to drive. This is 4MATIC, so you have the all-wheel drive grip, which is really fun. The engine is super peppy. There is a bit of turbo lag, I would say below 2000 RPM, but if you're once above the 2000 RPM, this car flies, and you can control with the paddles as well. So I'm in the manual mode, but it's really fun. Not as much crackles and pops, so if I downshift and just turn, it grips well. And then it pulls. As you can hear, whatever you can hear, all this is all pumped in audio. It's not the real deal, which is a bit of a shame because I wish this car sounded a bit better. It's all pumped in audio, and you know, I wish that it sounded a bit better. So it just launches from start so easily. It's really rapid, but then you can play with the gears. It's very shortly geared, so the end of second gear you're still at 70, which is pretty short. Again, it's really fun driving through the corners. Brakes are really good, grabby. Suspension is a little stiff. Fuel economy will take a hit if you drive like this, obviously. But again, this car is not about fuel economy. It's about having fun with your family. The handling is really good because it's boxy shape. It's pretty tall. The top, you feel it's a bit top heavy in the corners, but it grips really well. Steering feel, especially in Sports Plus, it weighs up really well, and it handles really. I mean, honestly, I'm surprised by the way this thing can dance around the corners. I love the way this car drives. In conclusion then, the 2022 Mercedes-AMG GLB 35. The name is a mouthful, but the car is not as much. It's pretty compact to drive, and I think it stands out on the road because of its quirky looks. The AMG, the engine is extremely potent, it's really fast, and it sounds decently good, especially with the pumped-in audio. I mean, the experience of the driver goes up, the world wouldn't know. The space inside is really good, the middle row is spacious, the front is good, it's got decent equipment, and the boot is pretty big. Starting at around $70,000, it's a little expensive, definitely. There's no ways about it. But because it's quirky, I think it has its own unique proposition which might appeal to the buyers.